welcome back. So I've got one more book to talk about to help finish off the month of August. So if you watched my TBR video for this month, you know that I did the TBR machine, and the prompt that I'm going to talk about that I read for today was a book that had food on the cover, except for I apparently don't have any books with food on the cover and did not at the time either. So instead I went with one that had a drink on the cover. We've got When Dimple Met Rishi. Oh, I loved this book. I read it in basically a day. I had started it a little bit earlier in the month, but I pretty much read it all yesterday because once I really got into it, I couldn't stop. The romance was so cute, and it was so fun to see all the Indian culture things going on in it. The author in her bio in the back talks about being a big fan of Bollywood and stuff, and me as well, big fan of Bollywood. I mean, the author is actually Indian, so it makes even more sense that she'd be into it, but it was fun on my end to have watched some Bollywood, and so when, the characters would talk about Bollywood films and some of the actors and things, I was like, oh, I know what they're talking about. I recognize this actor, or I recognize this movie, or I know what they mean by, a Bollywood dance scene and stuff, and it was super fun. I super loved it. It was just a fun little romance. I did like overall the romantic aspects of the story. I liked that the majority of the story just felt like them falling in love, and you just got a lot of happy times with them. I will say in some ways that might be a slight flaw with it too, though, because at the very, very end of the book, when it feels like there's no space left for it, you get the sort of common conflicts of, we have to be broken up, we can't be together anymore, we can't make it work. And it just hits you right at the end when you think, oh, we're just gonna have this happy romance. And then it's not a happy romance, but then because you're also at the very, very end, it's that's just a couple pages and then they are back together and going to try to make it work. So that was probably my one complaint with this, was that I loved the building of the relationship and them getting to know each other and them just being in love, but then forcing them to have that traditional we can't be together moment, and especially making it so rushed, both them getting into that moment and then getting out of that moment. Not my favorite thing, but overall a very, very fun story, and I'm very happy I read it. I will say, too, that this book kind of surprised me. So we've got our main girl, Dimple, and our guy, Rishi. And the general plot of it is that Dimple wants to be a web designer and do apps and things like that. So she's got this camp that she wants to go to before she starts college. And she manages to convince her parents to go, which she's super shocked by because they've always seemed more interested in just having her find an Indian husband and get married off and that sort of thing. And then you've got Rishi, who you find out has basically been set up with Dimple because their parents know each other, and he's going to the camp too, but more as we've got this arranged marriage thing going on. So trouble ensues because Dimple wasn't told about it, but Rishi was. And so, it was really interesting because Dimple's that traditional sort of character of, I'm trying to find my own self, I'm trying to break away from what my parents want, and just be my own person, do my own thing. And Rishi was more of a traditional character in that he wants to do what his parents want him to do. He wants to be a responsible kid, follow his parents' dreams more than he follows his own dreams, all that kind of a thing. And normally I would say that I would relate more to the Dimple type character, which I think a lot of us do, which is why it's a common character type, that there'll be this rebellious teen that's trying to find their own place in the world, find out who they are, trying to be themselves even though their parents have a different plan in mind for them. But honestly, I didn't like Dimple as much as I liked Rishi. And Rishi being the one who's a little more traditional, trying to follow what his parents want for him, that really surprised me. But I wonder too, since I've watched Bollywood and things, and I really just like Indian culture from what I've seen through that, if maybe that's part of why I liked Rishi more, is because he was trying to be this more traditional, responsible character and follow in what his parents wanted for him, that that just kind of rang to me like, oh good, I get to see like this Indian culture stuff and see how a character works that way, that's actually trying to follow what their parents want for them instead of just always rebelling against it. I don't know, he was really refreshing as a protagonist, and I really liked it. Yeah, it was just a super fun book. I'm super happy I read it. From my understanding, this is technically like a 3-book series where Dimple and Rishi will show up in other books, but they're not like the protagonists of them. I think one of them is with like Rishi's younger brother and stuff. And since I loved this one so much, I'm probably going to read those as well, and I'm super excited to get into those and see how they read for me. But yeah, if anyone else has read this or the rest of the series and has any thoughts they want to share down below, feel free to do so. But yeah, I think that this will be a author for me to watch, and I'm really excited that I read it and that it gave me all the fun, like, Bollywood sort of vibes, but in a book, because I've never found that before. So I'm glad that other people have been talking about it on BookTube so that it came on my radar so that I could read it and have fun with it. But yeah, let me know if you like Bollywood, if you've read this book, if you have other books like this that you would recommend that have kind of those Bollywood vibes too. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for now. I just wanted to do this quick little review, say how much I loved this book, and how happy I am that it's probably the last book that I'll be finishing in all of August, and that it was a really good book to go out on that way. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for now. So this is the Umlaut Harper, signing out.